Good morning, I am Alfira Imunisiana Clement with my team member Imelda Prada, Matumita, and Mutukumara. We are from Department of Process Petrochemical Engineering, and today we are going to present about our project with the title A Study on Roof Shielding Made of Coconut Waste, and our supervisor is Ms. Kintan binti Osman. Introduction. Shielding is the upper interior surface of room and other similar compartment. It helps to create enclosure and separate between spaces that control the diffusion of light, sound, and heat from directly enter the room through rooftop. While traditionally, coconut trees are used as house building materials for its properties over years. For example, the coconut tree trunk are used as wall and the leaf are used as rooftop. It gives a good air circulation and cooling to the house.
The problem statement for our project is, even though coconut trees are very useful and highly demanded, there are certain parts that end up turns into waste materials. The one is, if the waste cannot be disposed properly, it will lead to social and environmental problem. And the second is, recycling of disposed material is one method of treating the agricultural waste. The objective for our project is to produce different samples of coconut roof sealing using coconut waste. There are 5 samples that we are going to use it. Sample 1, Sample 2, and Sample 3, and Sample 4 and Sample 5. And the second objective is to investigate the best composition ratio of coconut waste roof shielding. We are using different kind of composition for the samples. For example, Sample 1, 30% of cocoa peat and 20% of coconut husk and 50% of plaster of Paris and some more. And the third is to compare the samples using bending test, thermal analysis, water absorption test, and the fourth is the
Now I'm going to present about the scope and significance of this project. We have been done 4 different types of tests, which is bending test, thermal analysis test, water absorption test, and also cuttings test. For each test, we have been brought out with 5 different types of samples. And also we have been using cocoa peat, coconut fiber, plaster of Paris, and caustic. MF Omar ETAL 2020. He have been telling in the literature which can save cooling energy in places with equatorial climate, especially in Malaysia. To use of recycled products or industrial waste is now potential trend in industry. Other than that, Norehan Sharid and Shamir Hayhan 2020, they have been telling that renewable resources and does not cause side effect as a health issues, and also it's much cheaper and easy to get. And other than that, it also has a low density, good material strength, and can be used as a good thermal insulator.
Composition ratio. We have 5 samples with different composition ratio of cocoa peat, coconut fiber, and plaster of Paris. To find the total of each material needed, we will need the percentage and times with 297 gram, which is the estimated weight for each shielding that we will make. In our methodology, we have preparation step, which including the collecting and drying process of cocoa peat and coconut fiber, and cut the coconut fiber into shorter pieces, preparing 6% sodium hydroxide solution and LOH, alkali treatment for 3 hours soaking process of coconut waste, and also the removal of excess sodium hydroxide solution from our coconut waste. After the preparation step, we will make our coconut roof shielding by weighing the material based on the required quantity of composition ratio that we have calculated before in the table, and then we'll mix and adding the water into our composition with a ratio of 2:1, and we are doing the molding process by compressing our mixture into the tray with the length of 27.5 cm and the width of 22.5 cm, and then we will bake and drying our mold under 100 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes in the oven. After the shielding completely dry, it will test with different tests, which is bending test, including the load of 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg, and 4 kg, and then thermal analysis, which it will heat it in oven with the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes, 8 minutes, and 16 minutes, and then water absorption test, which it will soak in water for 30 minutes, 1 hour and 2 hours, and finally is the cutting test, which we will observe the cutting edges and also the cutting difficulty.
Now I'm going to be presenting about the first test, which is bending test. Bending test is to evaluate physical properties and mechanical performance of wood-based panel, which is particle board using agricultural waste, coconut fiber, and cocoa peat as a grain materials. Bending test was performed to assess the bending rate to be bent by the sample. Bending test is required to see the quality of weight endurance. Bending test is important to do because identify the deficiency in our sample. As you can see here, we have been done 5 different types of samples with 4 different types of weight. And the first sample have been failed, second sample have been failed, third sample have been failed, fourth sample have been passed 50%, and fifth sample have been passed 100%. Based on the graph and result table, the best sample showing of potential in bending test is sample 5, which is the composition ratio of sample 5 is 13.5% of cocoa peat, 13.5% of cocoa powder, and also 101.2% of plaster of Paris. The lowest total of loads can be handled by sample 1, sample 2, and sample 4 with value of 0 kgs. Sample 3 has total 2 kg before bend. The higher total load can be tolerated by the sample, the stronger the sample, which means composition ratio of sample 5 has highest potential in strength. This is maybe because it contains more adjective, which is plaster of Paris. The bending between each particle are stronger and more condensed.
Thank you, Matumita. And my name is Milda Prada. So I will continue for the next slide, which is thermal analysis. The result for thermal analysis were tabulated in table 2. From the correlation between temperature difference and time, figure 2, it can be seen that after heated for a short period of time, 2 minutes, both natural fiber, sample 1 and sample 3, possess the higher temperature difference of 12.8 degrees Celsius, followed by sample 5, 12.7 degrees Celsius, sample 2, 9.2 degrees Celsius, and sample 4, 5 degrees Celsius. However, for a longer periods of time, 60 minutes, sample 3, which is possessed compositions of 30% of coconut fiber, 20% of coconut peat, and 60% of plasters of Paris, possess the higher temperature difference of 48.8 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, sample 2 temperature difference drops slightly to 48 degrees Celsius. This shows that under longer heating time, most natural fiber have higher temperature difference, which contribute to lower thermal conductivity.
The result for water absorption test was shown in graph. For the correlation between weight difference and time, it can be seen that in the first 30 minutes, sample 2 absorbs less water with the difference of weight 100 gram, followed by sample 1 with 118 gram, and sample 3 and sample 4 with 127 grams and 128 gram. Therefore, in next 1 hour, sample 2 absorbs less water with the weight differences around 95 grams, followed by sample 4 with 116 gram, and sample 1 and sample 3. In the next 2 hours, the weight difference that measured on sample 2 slightly dropped, which it was measured 90 gram, followed by sample 4 with 108 gram. These show that different composition have different results, which shown that sample 2 with the composition of 20% of coconut fiber, 20% of cocoa peat, 60% of plaster of Paris have lower water absorption. For the suggestion, there was always a crack in the sample, so that we can add the amount of plaster of Paris. And the second is, we also can use concrete as replacement for plaster of Paris, so that it doesn't dissolve in water. For the conclusion, the water absorption test shows that sample 2 with the composition of 20% of coconut fiber, 20% of cocoa peat, 60% of plaster, which measured lowest absorption differences, which is shown that less water absorption. The investigation shown that the fiber is a less water absorption properties, and it is a suitable material to be used. This material can be used to replace for the water absorption because it is cheap and environmental friendly. If the fiber absorbs a lot of water, the sealing material should not be applied. Thank you.
Cutting test. In order to find the cutting difficulty, each sample will be cut by using scissors in just one trial, and the length of shilling that could be cut in cm is measured by using the ruler. Sample 3 has the strongest length when cut using scissors in just one trial, which is 3.5 cm. The sample 3 also shows less crack and thus comes out when cutting process other than the rest sample. However, sample 2 also has the potential the same as the sample 4, but with some disadvantages like produce slightly dust while cutting process. The longest the length could be cut in just one trial, the lowest the cutting difficulty. Hence, the better the composition is.
Conclusion: from the analysis, it was found that sample 3 compositions of 30% of coconut fiber, 20% of coconut pit, and 70% of plaster of Paris has the best composition to be used as a natural fiber sealing based on thermal analysis testing and bending testing. Sample 3 possess the higher temperature difference, which contribute to low thermal conductivity and higher value of bending testing, which can stand until 2 kg load. Low thermal conductivity will make the sealing act as a good heat insulator, which result in reductions of the heat in the house. On the other hand, the higher values of bending test mean the stronger the sealing is. For suggestion, based on the data observation and analysis, there's a few disadvantages that need to be fixed from this project. There are a few suggestions and recommendations for further exploration of studying the potentials of coconut waste as alternative material in sealing. Firstly, the sealing making process should undergo with complete and suitable facilities like in lab and in workshop. Using available tools from home might be possible, but the efficiency of the tool might affect the overall result. Product quality required more effort and increasing the time taken for the production. On the other hand, the ingredient and material used is necessary to be considered, especially the ingredient used as adhesive. This is because weak adhesive will not bond with coconut waste well and also reduce the strength of the sealing. As a suggestion, sodium silica powder should be used as adhesive instead of using plaster of Paris. This method will help to reduce the porosity of the coconut waste sealing and also reduce water absorption.
Commercialized cost. Sample 4 has the lowest cost of each piece of sample, which is at ringgit 77. And that is all from our team. Thank you.